tells us about Lazarus and his sisters. And so I want us to look at let's start with the 5th verse. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. In other words, he stayed there. Then after that said he to his disciples, let us go into Judea again. He's coming back again, meaning that he's been there before. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he see the light of his world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. In him. But if Jesus have anything to do with my life, I know that he's the light. These things he said, and after that he said unto them, Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep. I need you to look over and tell your neighbor, your brother shall rise again. Your brother shall rise again. Come on now. Understand that the Bible has no respect of gender. Okay, and so when I say your brother, look over to the person next to you, male or female, and tell them you're going to rise again. You're going to rise again. Anybody believe that this morning? Yes. And so first we have to understand that Jeremiah tells us that God has a plan. And his plan is to do us good and not evil. And to bring us to an expected end. That our outcome will be good. And so we must understand that God has a purpose for our life. You ought to look over and tell somebody, I have purpose. I have purpose. And so in order to understand that God says that he already designed it that we would be successful. And so we're not just here by chance, and we're not just here aimlessly walking around. God has a purpose for our life. All right. And so we must understand that with purpose there comes process. All right. So Ecclesiastes tells us to everything there is a season. There is a time and a season to every purpose under the heaven. And so with that we must understand that we have purpose in God. If God gave the creatures of the earth purpose, then how much more do he give us who he made in the likeness and in his image? Right. And so if he said that there is purpose, then there's a reason that we are alive. Right. And some of us can say that, well, I tried to take myself out, but you must understand that you couldn't take yourself out because God already had purpose for your life. And somebody said, well, I was in a bad accident and they said I should have died. But you must understand that the purpose of God did not design for you to die by car accident. And somebody said my house caught on fire and I should have died, but the fire couldn't take you out because there was purpose for your life. And then somebody said the doctors gave me the wrong medication. And they said I should have died. But you must understand when God has already ordained purpose for your life, there's no medication that will take you out until God says it's your time to go. Oh my God. So you must encourage yourself this morning that the reason why I'm alive is because there's purpose in my life. The purpose wasn't for myself, and though I made plans and preparation, that may not be the purpose in which God intended me to be here. And so because I must understand that I have to walk in the purpose and the plan of God, my plans may not always work out the way I planned them. Oh God. Because the word tells us that our thoughts are not his thoughts. cause. And his ways are not our ways. And therefore, if my plan doesn't work, I shouldn't get all frustrated. Oh God. I shouldn't get aggravated because maybe that's just not the purpose and the plan God ordained for my life. And so we must understand that God foreordained us. Because Jeremiah tells us that before you were formed in your mother's womb, God have mercy, before you were formed, he said, I already ordained you. In other words, I already set a course for you. I already made plan for your life. And so when you understand that God says, I already foreknew, I already knew before the foundation of the earth. Listen, you must understand that before God decided to put earth in place, God have mercy, he had already had you in mind.
Amen. Amen.
See, God, you were not an afterthought. See, you didn't come after he put the stars in the sky. You didn't come after he put the water in the sea. You didn't come after he decided to put the sun and the moon in their place. You didn't come after he put the creatures on the earth. God said, I put you in my mind first. So everything else was put here for me. I don't know about you, but you got to understand that God already had us in mind. And so he said, listen, I know you're going to need some trees for some shade. God have mercy. I know you're going to need some fish in the water out there because I got some people that's going to want to go fishing and want to be able to eat the fish out the water. So I got to put some stuff for them so they'll already have what they need. I heard him say that I'm Jehovah Jireh, your provider. God already made provision before he even got you into the earth realm.
Take your time, baby.
I'm trying to, Daddy. And so we must understand that everything that is in place because of you.
Amen.
You ought to tell your neighbor, you're not an afterthought. And so we must understand that when God has made a plan, he also put a process in place. The problem is we don't want to go through the process. God, I want your promise, but I don't want the process that comes with the promise. Because in process, we're going to experience some things, and they're not going to all be good. In process, it's going to hurt. Oh, God. In process, it's going to burn sometimes. And it's not going to always be good. It's not going to always look good. But God told us in Romans that everything will work to the good of them according to those that love him. And because he said, because I love him, it's going to work for my good. My process is about getting me to my good. Oh, God. My process is about getting me to the expected end he's already preordained me for. Jesus. So a lot of times we try to avoid, we try to elude, we try to evade the process, but the process are the steps that lead us to where God is trying to take us. The process is the thing that gets us when we go through the valley of the shadow of death. That's why he told us don't fear any evil, because it's a part of your process. And if I made it part of your process, you can go in the lowest valley and I'm still there. He said you can go in the darkest alley and I'm still there. That's why you can go in the den of lions and the lions lay down with you. That's why you can go through the fiery furnace and the fire don't burn you, and when you come out you don't even smell like smoke. This is why in your process you can go through, you can look like where God is taking you. You don't have to look like what you're going through. The process may have you bent, but good God, he said it won't break you. You must understand he can allow you to go in the water, but you must understand I'm not going to let the waters drown you. I heard him say I feel like I'm up to here, but God is not going to let anything overtake you. He said I'll put no more on you, good God, than you're able to bear, but I'm going to put enough pressure in your process, God have mercy, that it's going to burn out everything that's not like me, that it's going to prune you for where I'm trying to take you. It's going to groom you for the people you got to encounter. It's going to get you ready for where I'm about to take you, because my promise was preordained. And so We must understand that who he's already preordained for a process. And many times we want to try to make our process easy. And see, I thank God for God. Because see, God knows what I need, oh God. And everything that he knows that I need, I may not always like it. We may not always agree with it. See, if it was up to us, oh God, and we had to make our own process. See, we'll put everybody in our corner that'll be cheering us on. We'll put everybody in our corner that like us. We'll make everything smooth and easy. We'll make sure we got a friend in the bank that can give us the loan every time we come and ask. We'll make sure there's somebody in office that'll always give us our way. But I thank God for God because he knows just what I need and he knows how I need it, what I need. It may not always look good, feel good, but I thank God for Jesus. So while we always want people around that'll celebrate us, we must understand that even Jesus came riding in on a donkey going to Jerusalem. And all of them was saying, put out the palm branches and Hosanna, Hosanna, and blessed be the rock. And all of those that were same ones that were saying Hosanna, Hosanna was the same ones that said stone him. They were the same ones that said kill him. They were the same ones that said, yeah, he's the one. They were the same ones that accused him. But you better understand, I thank God for the accusers. I give God praise for the enemies because by and by through my process, he'll make my enemies my footstools. My enemies will call me to push me through my process so I can get to my promise. Oh God. They were the same ones that said crucify. So you better understand there's going to be some people that was in your corner some time ago. But you better take a look around and say them the same ones that say crucify. Them the same ones that say, yeah, she did it. Them the same ones that say, I heard that you know. Them the same ones that say, no, don't give it to them. So you better understand that God said, it's all right because it's part of your process. If Jesus didn't go through the process of the same people saying crucify, he would have never went to the cross. And I thank God for the cross, oh God, because the cross had to be part of his process. In order for me to have a route to salvation, you better understand today that your process is taking you to the promise. And the promise is Jesus. And the promise is salvation. And the promise is long life. And the promise is the head and not the tail. The promise is above and not beneath. You better understand, although they saying crucify you, you ought to give God glory. You ought to begin to give him some praise. Even though it don't look right, you ought to bless the name of Jesus. You ought to get up and give him a shout. You ought to begin to shout, Hosanna. I believe you, God. You ought to tell him thank you, Jesus. You ought to tell them I appreciate you. In fact, send your enemy a thank you card.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. So. Yeah, go ahead. Buy a nice one too. Don't go in the Dollar Tree and get one. I want you to get a nice one and send it. So get a Hallmark card. Make sure you sign it personally. You know, put your special signature on it. Yeah. So, is there anybody here that can say, I hear what you're saying, but can you bless those that curse you? Because see, they curse Jesus. Can you begin to tell them, you know what, I was looking at this thing all wrong. I got to begin to bless those that curse me. Because the one that blesses me has the bigger blessing. And see, the one that blesses me is the one that's able to keep me. The one that blesses me is the one that's able to restore me. Oh, God, have mercy. The one that blesses me is the one that makes a way out of no way. When I'm laying down at night crying on my pillow, he's the one that sends the comforter to comfort me in my midnight hour. See, you don't know anything about that because maybe you done had it good all your life, but I'm telling you, there are times, good God have mercy, when you feel like you're all alone. But I heard him say, I'm the one that said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I'll be with you. All you got to do is just reach out, open up your mouth and call on the name of Jesus. And when you call on his name, good God, there's a comfort that comes over us. There's a peace that surpasses all understanding. Tell him I'm going to live and not die. I know you see me as dead, good God, But I'm telling you that I'm alive and well. Oh, God, have mercy. So it says, listen, you got to be able to bless those that curse you. Speak good of those. Do I have anybody that says, I'm going to pray for those that despitefully use me, God? I know that's a hard pill to swallow. I know it's a hard thing to do, but I'm telling you, if you just begin to get on your knees and say, God, I don't even know what to say, but I know who I have in mind. God, I'm going to call out their name to you, and I want to pray for them, but Lord, help me, because I want to be able to pray for those that despitefully use me, because God, I know that you got something greater in store for me. If I can just get past this, God, oh God, have mercy. Just keep in mind, it's part of my process. Yeah. So when we can get to the place that I can pray for those who despitefully use me, and so that's where we understand the maturity in Christ comes, because in order for God to take us where he's taken us, he's got to mature us in him. So then there's where the elevation comes. God have mercy. And so when you see somebody going up, you better know they done been through some things, and they're in a point in their process where God is saying, I'm ready to elevate you. And so don't look at elevation and begin to say, ooh, no, because you're going to say, ooh, ouch, because you don't know what they had to go through to get to where they are. And so it's important that you understand that don't look at the pastor and don't look at the bishop and the archbishop and the governor and all these different places, because what we don't understand is, can you handle their process? And so then in process, that's where you begin to see the increase. And when you see increase in your life, God is saying, I'm able to trust you with some things. Oh God. It wasn't just that your job decided. It wasn't just that the governor decided to give the state employees a raise. There had to be somebody praying somewhere that will touch the heart of the man. My God, he ain't just decided on his own. My God, they ain't just decided. Your boss ain't just call you in and said, let me just give you. That's part of the process. When God see that he can trust you with some things, he'll elevate you in some areas. You have to understand that process births some things in us. Oh God. So you got to be ready to go on the birthing table. Saw a show that showed men trying to understand the birthing process. And they gave them, they could feel the actual contractions. And a whole lot of them came out saying, I don't want it. But you better understand, if you're going to go anywhere in God, you're going to have to go through the birthing process. So it doesn't matter, male or female, God's going to birth something in you. And we must understand that the promise is always birthed out of adversity. It's always birthed out of trouble. Trouble is a prerequisite for the promise of God. Trouble is what qualifies you for where God is trying to take you. So you got to change how you see trouble, because they always have, oh trouble. Listen, when trouble come your way, begin to give God some praise. When trouble begin to break out all around you, start shouting, because God is getting ready to birth something in your life. That means you're on the birthing table. That means God is getting ready to break something loose. Oh God, I wish I had time to explain that breaking. But listen, there's a point in the process of birthing when women's water break. God have mercy. And when it breaks, there's a secretion. There's some liquid that God, let me, Lord have mercy. And so when that happens, listen, God is saying, I'm breaking something, but I'm also pouring out over you. And when he began to pour out his spirit upon all flesh, God have mercy. God said, I'm going to pour it out. I'm going to let some stuff come out, because there's something bigger coming behind that you just released. So give God praise for the trouble. Always through the struggle and the tension, Yes, it may have some tension, but guess what? God, I thank you for the tension. That I recognize it's you birthing something in me. It's just one of my contractions that's going to get me to the place where you're about to release the thing that you put in me. And so when we get to that point, we got to understand, I don't want to murmur and complain about it. I want to begin to shout about it. I want to give him an in advance praise. I want to praise him right now. I don't want to wait till my battle is over. I want to begin to shout right now. I want to begin to give God praise for what he already promised he would do. I want to give God a praise for what he said he's going to make happen for me. Come on, there ought to be somebody that says, I'm ready to give God a praise. I got a blessing for where I am. I got a blessing for what he took me through. I got a blessing for the hurt. Come on, I got a blessing for the pain. My God, that is who you are. And so they said, what does this have to do with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus? And see, if you look in the text, it said he waited 2 days. So we must understand that there was a process that had to take place with Lazarus. Because everybody focused on Mary and Martha because the one sister came and said, have you been here, Jesus? But see, when Jesus knows you got to have a process. When he knows there's an ordained process for your life, he gonna let you go through it. But see, he knows just when to show up. When everybody done counted you out, when everything done came to a naught. And one thing about God is when he said, I'm going to do something in your life, God have mercy, he's got to make sure that every avenue that you could ever try has already been exhausted. See, God knows some of us, especially the female species, we always want to put something back. God have mercy. See, we always want a plan A. We got a plan B. We got a plan C. We even, some of us got a D and a E. But one thing about God, good God have mercy, he said, go ahead to your plan B. Because see, plan B gonna exhaust itself. Because what I'm gonna do is allow plan B to dissipate. And when you get to plan C, what you thought was at plan C ain't gonna even be there. And then you ain't gonna even be able to figure out what you had in place for D and the rest of them. Because some of us, we'll put stuff somewhere and forget where we put it. But I want to tell you about Jesus. God have mercy. See, what God does, he allows us to exhaust all those avenues. Because there's some of us that got bank accounts somewhere everywhere. But then we found ourselves financially depleted. Now, how do I have 5 bank accounts and there's nothing in any one of them? And some of them are in the red. They telling me I owe them. But see, when Jesus said, I'm getting ready to come on the scene, and no man shall get my glory, oh God. And when he said no man, he said, I mean no man, not your mama, not your daddy, not your sister, not the bank, not the car dealership. He said, no man shall get my glory, oh God. So I'm going to have to wait a few days before I come see about you. And remember, God's days is not our days. And so we thinking God has been 30 days. I already told the people I ain't got it, but God has been 30 days. I'm trying not to touch that savings, but God has been 30 days. Guess what? He's going to deplete the savings.
Glory.
Yeah, baby, he's going to deplete the savings. And then he going to cause them that you thought you could call on. When you try to call them, they going to say, well, baby, I ain't got it this time. Baby, I ain't got it this time. You know, something came up, and if you had to call me a few days ago, I ain't got it this time. Then you turn around and say, well, I know Big Mama, she always got something under that cushion. But when you call Big Mama, she say, baby, your cousin beat you to it. Because you said that Jesus is the head of my life. You said that he will make a way out of no way. You better understand, when you begin to decree and declare a thing over your life, God gonna make sure you're good and ready. And so when you say he's the head and not the tail, he's gonna make sure he's the head and not the tail. He's gonna make sure that he's the one that's gonna bless you. So he said, I had to abode for a few days. I had to wait for a little while before I come see about you. I already know you're not going to die where you are. I already know it's not going to overtake you. I already know you're going to cry some tears, but guess what? I want you to understand they're going to cry, but I'm going to tell you one day you're going to say, I cried my last tear. Good God have mercy. Yesterday. Because guess what? God showed up today. One thing I want to point out about this text, we must understand that it made it a point to call out Lazarus' name.
Yes, it did.
And so one thing about the text, we must understand that everybody that he talks about in the scripture does not be called by name. There's a purpose in that, because when God calls by name, that means there's a significance to Jesus about that person. So when God calls me by my name, that's why he allowed us to have a name, because one day he's going to call us by our name. And when he called me by my name and say I'm elevating, I'm moving, I'm doing this, I want to understand I know my name. And so when he called by name, listen, there was blind Bartimaeus. Why did he mention his name? Because he was significant in the scriptures. Remember, blind Bartimaeus was sitting by the wayside. And blind Bartimaeus began to yell out to Jesus, thy son of David, Jesus of Nazareth. Listen, and blind Bartimaeus kept yelling. See, y'all get too quiet for me, because blind Bartimaeus began to yell out. And there were some people by the wayside, saying, look, ma'am, you too loud. Look, sir, you too loud. See, there are some people that's going to tell you, listen, you might as well go ahead and sit down. You might as well go ahead and accept that it's no. You might as well go ahead. But listen, if I got any blind Bartimaeus in the house, I need you to open up your mouth. Listen, wait a minute, y'all too loud. I said y'all too loud in here. See, I don't know about you, but I need something from Jesus. And I don't care who else hollering. I'm going to holler just as loud as the next person. I'm going to make sure I heard Jesus was on the way. And because Jesus is in my city, I need to yell out, Jesus! So he called y'all too loud. And so he called blind Bartimaeus by name. That means he's significant in the text. And there's something I need you to understand about his story. And so he said, listen, because all he said, there was a woman at the well. He said she was a Samaritan woman, but he did not call her by name. He said there was a woman in the back of the church that was bent over, but he never called her by name. My God, my God. Know that your name has some significance to Jesus. Tell him I'm important to him. Because the text tells us that Lazarus was Jesus' friend. And if I am his sister in Christ, if I'm heirs and joint heirs with him, I have a significance with Jesus. Oh God, I was adopted, oh God, into this thing. And so Jesus is my brother because our daddy adopted us. And when God adopted me, I got every right to everything Jesus had. I got every right to everything that he promised me because he adopted me. That means I'm an heir to everything that belongs to my daddy. I don't know about you, but if I need some peace in my life, God have mercy, I'm an heir to peace, oh God. And so Lazarus, he is a friend of the Lord's, and so there's a relationship there. And so that means he has fellowship with God. But he also has an issue, because that means Lazarus was sick for some time. He had an issue. Blind Bartimaeus had an issue. And so that means that when you have an issue, there's some significance to that. That means I'm not ignorant to what you're going through. So Jesus waited, and it says in the text that Lazarus was dead for 4 days. Keep in mind that's the number 4. Okay? 3 is the number for resurrection. So Jesus had to let it pass the time of resurrection before he decided to come see about Lazarus. Don't worry about how long it's been. Jesus said it can pass the time of resurrection. But if I am he who said that I am that I am, I'm the lifter of your head, I'm the giver of life, God have mercy, then how much more if it passed the 3 days, oh God, if it passed the 30-day mark, oh God, that doesn't mean I'm irrelevant and that I'm muted, because I am the immutable God. I'm the one that no matter what it looked like, what it says, I can still do the impossible when it looked like, he says that I can do all things, oh God have mercy, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. He said I let it pass the 3 days because that was the 3rd day was resurrection, but I'm not going to even let it get up So he says, fourth day. It's an indication that the time of resurrection has passed, which means there is no coming back.
My God, my God.
But Jesus had to take out every opportunity for man to do anything concerning Lazarus. God will get you to a place where man can't help you at all. He'll get you to a place where those who have the ability to help you cannot even reach out to you. At your lowest point, God's extremity is God's opportunity for God to do what he needs to do in your life. And so when man has exhausted everything that they can do, God will sit patiently and wait till you have wasted everything that you have. Remember the woman with the issue of blood? It says that she had used everything that she had. And this was a wealthy woman, right? And so that means that he allowed her to exhaust everything that she had. It tells us in the text, she spent all that she had. This woman was an outcast, but again, she was not called by name. But yet she had used everything that she had. He said, I'll wait till you're depleted. And then all you got to do is press your way in spite of what it feels like. I know they called you an outcast. They said you would never be nothing. They said you would never amount to anything. They said you would not make it through. They said that nothing will come of you. They told you there was no way it could work. They told you it was hopeless. They told you you were helpless. But God said, when you became destitute and desperate, and you have nothing to go on, that's when God says, now I can step in. Anybody in that place? I'm desperate, God. I'm destitute. I'm ready for you to step in. And so Lazarus is dead, and now his sister Martha runs out to Jesus and said, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And how many of us said, if you had been here, sis, I would have been all right. Daddy, if you had been here, I would have been all right. I remember hearing somebody say, if Bishop Brown had made it here, everything would have been all right. But if it's not part of the process and the plan of God, you must understand that even Bishop Brown won't be able to make it. He'll let Bishop Brown be way across in China just so he can't make it. Because I need you to understand that it's not the man Bishop Brown, but it is the power of God. Oh God. That it is the Spirit of God. So we must understand wherever there is a plan, and wherever there is a purpose, there is process. One thing we must understand, that process takes faith. And we know the word says that without faith it is impossible to please him. And so if we want to please God, we got to have faith in this season. Because everything is looking crazy. But if I have faith the size of a mustard seed, if I have some Abraham faith, that even though this is my only son, and you tell me to take him up, God, I'm going to follow the orders of God. And how many know that the steps of a good man are ordered by God? And so if God is ordering my process, every step that I make, he's with me along the way. If it looked like I got to give my last, I know he's right there with me. But if he told me to go and give it, then guess what? I'm going to go in faith, believing that God is going to do what he said he's going to do. Because God is not an Indian giver. He's not going to give me something and tell me he promised it to me and then he's going to take it back. And if we remember the story of Abraham, he gave Abraham a son when it looked like all hope was gone. They were too old according to society, according to people, according to health, and according to medical terminology. They were too old to be having kids. But God said, I'll take that and do everything that I promised you I would do. It looked like you've been waiting for a long time. The man was by the pool for 38 years. And guess what? Jesus still showed up after 38 years. Guess what? There's no time limit with God.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
So we have to know, we have to believe that in spite of what I see or what I don't see, in spite of when there is nothing, when it's not going my way, when I want it to happen, when my circumstances are turned upside down, inside out, and when everything around me is jacked up, my money is funny, change is strange, the bank turned me down, and my credit just won't get it. This is when we have to know that Abraham had faith who did not stagger at the promises of God. Abraham didn't go up there staggering and hesitating where he had to go up to take his son. Abraham didn't take one step back and two steps forward and then decided, okay, I'm going to go. Abraham didn't stagger at the promises of God. He wasn't around there wavering back and forth saying, should I or should I not? Did I really hear God? Did I not hear? You better understand, Abraham said, if God said it, that settles it. I'm taking my son and we're going up. And I got to leave all these people back here because them some doubting Thomases. They don't understand that I hear the voice of God. And when I hear the voice of God, I got to move in the Spirit of God. And when I begin to move in the Spirit of God, Lord have mercy, I know that He's got everything orchestrated to work out in my favor. He's already got an expected end. And when God made a promise to me, He's not going to take it back. He told me that I should have, and therefore it is. I'm going to go up in obedience because the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. And so every step I take, I know He's going to do it with me. And every time I take one step, I believe God is two steps ahead of me. He's already making my crooked path straight. He's already putting the ram in the thicket. So when I get up there and begin to raise up that knife over my son, God, He's going to let the Spirit of God begin to speak to me. And I'm going to look over and there it is. Oh, God, have mercy. So we're going to wrap this up. And so now when they showed up and found Lazarus dead, the first thing He told them was, take me to where he is.
All right.
And so He said, I want you to take me to where you left him. Take me to where you gave up on him. Take me to where you done buried him. Take me to where you said he'll be nothing. Take me to where you say all hope is gone. Take me to that place where you dropped him off at. Take me to that place where you said we just gonna put him away. Take me to that place right there. Take me to that place where you done gave up and dropped down and said forget it, I ain't with it. Just take me to that place right there, because there's something I need to do in that place right there. I don't know about you, but there's some people that said, you know what, I'm just gonna leave that right there. But you ought to know Jesus gonna come back and revisit that right there, because He said, yeah, you done gave up on it and they told you it wasn't gonna work and nothing was gonna come of it, but I'm about to come up and I'm about to come see about that thing right there. That very thing that you've been saying, well, I put it over there, I ain't ready to go back, but Jesus said now is the time. I'm going to be able to come up and come over there, and I need to see about what's going on. Oh, God have mercy. See, you laid it there thinking nothing was going to happen. I done put that away. I wrote that down and said it was going to come, but I done buried that book under some more books, and I done put something else on top of it. I'm telling you today, go out and get it. Take Jesus right there where you done buried it, because He's about to tell them. He said, first of all, roll the stone away. Yes. And see, the stone was in front, it blocked access. I know y'all ready to go. I'm going to get y'all out of here. But you must understand, listen, the stone blocked access. And see, Jesus trying to get access to some stuff in your life. Oh, God. And you done already buried it and done put it away, but He trying to get access to some stuff. Roll the stone away. Which means they have prevented access to it. And then they wrapped Him in grave clothes. And then they bind Him up, which means that all hope of Him walking out is gone. But understand, God never allows what man does to hinder or to limit what He's capable of doing. Tell somebody, He said, they said it wouldn't make it. They said He wasn't coming out. They said He was dead. Oh, God. So people say a whole lot of things over your life. But you better understand it's time to start reversing that stuff. We got to begin to speak the word of God over ourselves. Tell somebody, I'm a little selfish in this season, and I'm speaking over me. But you must understand, He said that I shall live and not die. He said that there is life and liberty in Him. And I'm going to walk in the life and liberty in which He told me I could have. And you must understand that man does not have the last say-so over your life. Thank you, Lord. I'm so glad that man doesn't determine my success in life. They don't determine my next move. They don't determine my next miracle. They don't determine my next healing. They don't determine my next blessing. They don't determine my outcome. They don't determine where I go. They don't determine how much I can have. They don't determine how far I can be elevated. Man don't determine that from me. I'm so glad man don't have the last say so in my life, because the doctor said I wasn't going to make it, but I come to tell you that he already spoke life over me. And even though the doctor report said you may not make it in 3 months, I know of Jesus who said I'm the giver of life. And though they diagnose you with one thing, I'm the one that says I have the power to heal. I am the God that healeth thee. I am your balm in Gilead, and healing is the children's bread. I am the one that will heal when all hope looks like it's gone. I'm the one that can eradicate cancer. I'm the one that can cause you to walk when they said you will never walk again. I'm the one that said you will lift your hand and give me praise when they told you you will have no activity of your limbs. I'm the one that will put strength in your ligaments and cause you to walk when man said you would need help all your life to walk. I'm the one. Oh, God, have mercy. So glad man don't have the last say so. So when Jesus showed up, he said, show me where you laid him. Show me where you put him. Show me where you say he failed. Come on, because we all fallen and came short of the glory of God. But one thing I like about God is even when I fail, he's right there with his mighty hand to reach way down and pick me up. And when everybody done buried me, he said, I'll come and remove the stone. I'll come and allow you to walk out of grave clothes. Oh God, you have to know that people will say and lay you aside. People will give up on you. People will give out on you. But when you give God access to your life, God have mercy. He said he called him by his name. I don't know about you, but I heard him one day say, Consuella, the time has come. Oh God, he was ready to enter in. And when he called my name, God have mercy, I answered the call. Oh Lord. Woo. And the things that used to hold me don't hold me no more. The grave clothes with all the stuff on it don't hold me anymore. I don't go to places that I used to go no more. Oh God, I don't wear the clothes that I used to wear anymore because they just don't fit right. And where it says they gave up on you, God gonna come right there. And when he called him by his name, say, but you ought to understand that many are called, but a few are chosen. And you must understand that's one of the reasons why there's a chosen that's called by their name. And so he called Lazarus, and he called blind Bartimaeus, and he called Consuella. See, I don't know about you, but he called me by my name. So I know many are called, but I happen to be one of the chosen. Oh God. He says, tell them your next miracle is in the mouth of God. And Jesus said to them, loose the man and let him go. And the Bible said Lazarus came forth, and the grave clothes had to loose him. You ought to tell your neighbor, it doesn't matter where you been. It doesn't matter where they buried you. Jesus said, loose and let him go. Stand to your feet all over this building. Tell them your brother gonna rise again. You ought to tell them your brother gonna rise again. And I don't know about you, but I have risen from the dead. And I know that they call him Lord. Come on, he's risen. Come on. And I'm rising up in him. If that's you, you ought to give him praise. You ought to open up your mouth and bless the name of Jesus. Tell him I have risen in Jesus. I am called according to his purpose. Come on, he's called me by my name. Your mama didn't just name you because that's the thing to do. Your mama named you because God had purpose for you. And because there's purpose for you, you got a name. And Jesus is saying, I'm calling you by name. I need you to rise up and walk. Do I have anybody that's like that this morning? I don't know about you. I know the bed may seem heavy, but he said, rise up and walk. Come on, you ought to begin to walk this morning. Walk in your mind. Walk in your heart. Walk in your spirit. Tell him you're going to live again. You're going to rise again. You're going to rise again. This is not the end for you. It's not doom and gloom. You're going to rise again in Jesus' name. I call you to come forth in the name of Jesus. I call you to come forth in the name of Jesus. Is there any Lazarus in the house? Is there Teresa in the house? I call you to walk again. I call you to live again. Where's Diane in the house? I call you to walk again. Where is that boy in the house? Where is that man of God in the house? I call you to live again. I call you to come forth. I call you out of the grave clothes. I call you out of depression. I call you out of oppression. I call you out of bad health. In the name of Jesus, you shall rise again. You shall rise again. You ought to go and tell 3 people, you shall rise again. Come on, I need you to prophesy to their life. You shall rise again. Don't just casually come and tell me. I need you to prophesy in that person's life. You shall rise again. You shall rise again. You shall rise again. Yes. You shall rise again. You shall rise again. Somebody said, I ain't going to even try that no more, but you shall rise again. Tried it 1 time. Tried it 2 times. He let it go past that 3rd time. It's past resurrection, but Jesus said, you shall rise again. Yeah. And Lazarus came out. And Lazarus came out. I believe he came out with his hands lifted up and his mouth filled with praise. Do I have anybody that says I'm coming out with my hands lifted up and my mouth filled with the praise? Then where are the praisers at? Y'all mighty quiet. I need some praisers. I'm coming out. I'm coming out with my hands raised up and my mouth filled with the praise. Oh God. Father, we thank you today for these thy people. We thank you for the word that has gone forth. Father, we call them forward now in the name of Jesus.